All right, it just ticked over 12:15, so we'll get started. So welcome to the June virtual user group. Hope everyone's having a great week and looking forward to the weekend. We'll quickly review the agenda and then we'll get stuck into things. So we'll go over some questions that came in from anyone in the last month. We're going to go over a browser-specific issue in terms of Firefox. We're going to go and review any of the features that we've put into TransIT over the last month, also the bug updates, and then we'll do the tip of the month. So we'll get stuck into it. See, the question that we had that came into our support team this month was how many characters can be added into an activity in a plan? So activities in a plan are text boxes, and they are limited to 255 characters. If you did need more text or more characters than 255, we recommend you use the custom column and create a text area, which will allow you to have more characters inside of your box, and it will also allow you to add formatting to that text as well. So I've got that highlighted in the little pop-up box down there. So if you did want to add more text, then you can use your text area. The browser-specific issue that was reported to us, it actually was reported earlier this week, is in relation to Firefox, and more specifically when you're using the snip tool on your computer and then trying to paste it into a new issue. It does not hold and retain that image like it does in any other browsers. It does, however, save the comments and the attachments inside the issue. This is only a Firefox issue, so it's still working as it should inside of Brave, Chrome, and Edge. So if you do use Firefox, just be a little bit aware that that is an issue that we are currently working on. And hopefully we'll have that resolved for anyone that uses Firefox very quickly. And we'll go across to the new features. So as we've done the last couple of
Hey, Trav,
meetings,
if I can just say,
Yep.
if I can just interrupt for a second. So you can't do a screen scrape into that initial window, but you still can attach a file there. So the only thing you can't do is the screen scrape portion into that window.
So as we've done in the last couple of meetings, we're going to go over the features and then the bugs. And we're going to probably focus on the new features inside of TransIT for this meeting. And then I'll be able to quickly go over the bugs once we kind of touch on the features. And then we'll jump into TransIT and we'll show you the features live so that you can see how they work. So this month, our development team has worked really hard on getting a lot of items into TransIT that will ultimately help you save time and create content a lot quicker. So inside workflows, we've added this square bracket inside a action or outcome box that you can now, it will now display the list of your headers that you have listed inside your org settings. So I'll be able to show you that. Inside modules, we've added the ability to inline edit modules. So much like we did scripts last month, it's now the same inside editing a module. We've also added what we call a review modules utility. So I'll be able to show you that. And that just gives you the opportunity, instead of going in and out of a module and reviewing, you can now select your selected modules you want to review, and it will come up in a pane on the right hand side and you can review them, make your changes on the fly instead of going in and out back and forth. And then I'll show you a bulk edit option, which will be the same for modules and scripts. So in the past you would have to select your steps, right click, and then click change, and then individually change different pieces of your step. You can now do that in one screen. For scripts, we added the ability to reset your header details to match your org settings. So this was one of our clients asked for this. So if you have a lot of old scripts with header details that might be outdated, you can now restore those org setting defaults. So you can just maintain your header details inside of your org settings and then apply them to any of your old scripts. As I mentioned earlier, we've got the review scripts utility. I'll be able to show you that as well. It works the same for scripts and modules. We've also added the ability to bulk upload images from Excel into TransIT. So the key thing here is it only adds those images into your action column. And I'll be able to show you what you need to add to your Excel file for you to be able to upload those images inside of TransIT. And again, it's the new bulk edit option that I'll be able to show you. It's the same for scripts and modules. We've done a lot of work on the testing area or the testing page, more specifically the test steps page. It received quite an update in terms of updating all of our back code so that it is a lot faster, and hopefully we'll be able to develop some more features in the future. But we've added a red flag to indicate the test note. So instead of you clicking on the test note and it highlighting orange, there's now a red flag, which is similar to your header details, which will show you which step you need to action for that note. We've added a floating go-to step icon. So it's at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. I'll be able to show you that when we jump into TransIT. But if you're skipping through your script and you want to go back to the test note that you are actioning, then you can click that floating test note icon. We've added the new issue test note icons. So previously it would just change color, or the bug icon would change color. So it would go from a blue color to a red color. We now have an individual icon that will indicate a test note and a issue. So it'll be a little bit clearer on how many issues are linked, and you can actually see it a little bit clearer. We've added a search box. So when you are linking an issue, you can actually search for an issue. So much like a search box you have on your issues dashboard page. And I already mentioned we've spent a lot of time upgrading the test steps page. On the issues page, there's been a lot of functionality added to the issues page, which is some kind of cool functionality. So when you go into your issue dashboard page, it only displays open issues by default. So if you wanted to open up all your issues, so your completed and closed issues, you would need to now go in and click an icon and then turn those issues on. So it's just a small change. So if you keep that in the back of your mind, if you have anyone that says, I can't find this issue, they'll probably only have the open issues open. We've added a snapshot for a summary chart. So you can filter on your issues page or your issues dashboard page, and you can create a summary chart, much like you can do on your test rounds on your test dashboard page. We've also added a review filter icon. So this is the same as when you right click and you review any of your issues. It's just in a more prominent position on the page. You can still right click and review, but once you finish filtering, you can click this icon rather than right clicking and selecting. It's just a little bit faster. And then we've added a review issue window pane, which is the same as the modules and scripts page. Previously, the review issue was on the left-hand side, and it took up a lot of real estate on your page. You can now close those windows down and reopen them with the click of an icon. For the org settings, we've added importing from Excel for projects. So if you wanted to, add a whole bunch of projects, you can do that. We've also added some functionality around user settings. So I'll go over what's changed. You may have noticed that when you click your initial on the top right-hand corner, you've now got a little bit more control over how your grids, or we call them grids, but how TransIT is laid out. So I'll be able to go over that with everybody. Does anyone have any questions on the features? Great. So we'll go into the bugs. So like I mentioned earlier, we're only going to highlight some of the really important bug fixes. You can see a complete list of bug fixes in our monthly newsletter that comes out on the last Wednesday of every month. You can also see the bug fixes when this recording goes up on our YouTube page. So you can just go back in. It's listed in the description, and you can also go through the video and pause it and have a look on the screen as well if that's what you prefer. So in terms of the bug fixes, I've got the ones in bold highlighted that I'm going to go over. Again, you can go and have a look at the bug fixes with the list. If you have any questions, you can reach out to support and we can definitely look into it. So we fixed inside of a plan when you mark something completed, when you're multi-selecting, it only updated the first row. So now if you select 10 or 15 and you mark it completed, it will now action that correctly. We fixed creating a new workflow, taking you to the workflow dashboard page. So before last Thursday, you created a new workflow, and that then saved the workflow, but it took you to the workflow dashboard page. It now takes you to the actual workflow, and it will open in edit mode for you if you have the ability to do that. For modules, we fixed the find and replace, not searching the outcome column. So that was a big one for some of our clients. So when you do the find and replace, it now searches the outcome and action column. For scripts, we fixed a issue where if you changed your application and then added that script to a test round, it didn't actually retain that change for you. So we've fixed that bug up as well. Inside testing, this one was a little bit of a tricky one where we had a client that was completing steps. They were doing a multi-step right-click option, and then they'll individually actioning the next step. And then the step information wasn't being retained, so we've now fixed that up. On the issue page, we've fixed the filtering issue by test round. So now you can filter not only issues logged across TransIT, but per test round. And we've also fixed changing the project name that didn't update across TransIT. So if you change your project name from project 1 to project 2, it didn't update across TransIT. It now does that. Does anyone have any questions on the bug fixes? Fantastic. Patty, did you want to go over the tip of the month real quick, and then we can jump into TransIT?
Sure. So one of our clients we were working with was going to be replacing their HIS, and it wasn't known to the organization broadly yet. And so they wanted to know what they could do in TransIT to start planning in TransIT and yet not get the word out. So there's a new feature in TransIT that Travis told us about, I think a couple of VUGs ago now, but it's the ability to limit who has access to a project using the project page. So in this case, you would create the project and immediately go in and change the access and only put those people in the organization who are supposed to know about this secret project into that project, and then it won't show anywhere. They won't see that the project exists. It won't be in any drop downs. It won't be able to be selected in the plans page or in testing or in issues or anywhere else. So it is a really good security feature, and it also is good for if you're doing any sort of payroll testing or anything and you want to have employee data or wage data in your plans to help validate. It does also allow you to hide things like that. But you're still not allowed to put PHI in TransIT ever.
Great. We'll jump into TransIT now, and I'll show you some of the features. So the first one was when you go into a workflow and you go into your module, you can now use your square bracket, and it comes up with a list of all of your header information that you can select. And then if you wanted to keep typing, it will then refine your search. So previously that wasn't available, and I'm just going to fix this up. Otherwise, I'll get in trouble from Patty. And then we'll move across to modules. So we added the ability to inline edit modules. So if I double click here, it will highlight this little cell here. If I tab across, I can keep going all the way through all of my information, and I can edit whatever I have highlighted there. So previously you would have to double click and then it would pop up with your edit window. Now you can just double click and tab across and away you go. Or if you have multiple steps, you can just double click anywhere you'd like. The review module utility, if we wanted to go over here and filter through on a category, emergency, and we wanted to select, let's say, the first 8 or 9, we would right click and then we click this review. And this is where I have the ability to have this review window on my right-hand side. I can close it down so I can see what my module's like. And then I can click this icon here, which will open up the panel for me. And as I review the modules, I can click this review and next, and it's going to give me a little check mark here. And this check mark will remain until you sign out or you clear your or you close your browser down. But it just gives you a visual representation to say I've reviewed that. So I can go through and keep going through all of my modules. This was used because we had some issues with vendors and applications. So we wanted to search on that specific vendor and application and be able to fix up any of the modules and scripts. We added in a new bulk edit option. So if I go into a module for everybody, is I have a filter on. And let's say I wanted to add a position for these 3. I can now highlight these 3 steps, right click and use this bulk edit option here. And everything that I can edit as a bulk item populates in this window here. And I just use this checkbox here and I can change the position for all 3 of those steps. And then if I wanted to change the application, I can checkbox this change application, and then I would then select my application here. I'd click save, and then it would update the position application. So this is really handy if you have 10 to 50 steps you want to change a position or an application. Rather than going right-click change position, right-click change application, you can now do it in the one window, and it's a lot faster and easier for everybody to change their information over. So we'll jump over to scripts, and we're going to go into my script that I created here. And as we highlighted last bug, this header icon here now populates the information inside of this screen instead of a new window. When you click on your blue header, you right click on your blue header, you have this match the sequence to your org settings. And what that will do is it will go into your org settings. So just open up a new one here. It will match these org settings that you have set up here and the sequence number inside of this script. So just allows you to kind of keep it in sync. And again, you've got the review scripts utility that we can use. So we can go through and you can select the scripts you'd like to review. You can also filter the list as well. Right click, review, and then you have your review scripts here. And we can go through and you can close your window, you can review your script, you can pop out the window again, and you can click the review and next icon, and you can keep going down your list. And then I'll show you the other bulk edit. So if we wanted to edit a whole bunch, you can right click and bulk edit, and then you have all of your available bulk edits here. So if I wanted to change all of them, I could just checkbox all of them and I'd be able to change anything I wanted there. So it's just a little bit more efficient for everybody and a lot easier to edit your content. We'll move across to testing. So if we go into a test note and we click on our test note here, you'll see that this red flag populates to say that the test note is associated with this step. Previously, it would highlight orange. And if I wanted to go up and review the steps leading up to this, this step and this note, I could go up, I can review my steps, and then I have my floating go-to step here with the step number that I can click the icon and it will take me back to the step. So vice versa, if I want to scroll down and see what happened afterwards, rather than scrolling up, I can just click this go-to step icon and it will populate where I should be for that test note. If we go across to our test dashboard page and go into a script, if I create a issue here, and I click create, you'll see here that instead of the bug icon turning to a blue, you've now got your icon here that says issue 404, and you can still hover over it and see that you've got your issue information there. And then if we wanted to link an issue, we could right click, go into link an issue, and then you have your search bar at the top here, which then you'll be able to search through an issue. You've also got your filter options on each of the column headers that you can now easily find your issue instead of having the issue dashboard page open and kind of looking for your issue. Just makes it easier to be in the one spot. If we go across the issue dashboard page, this is where most of the changes have happened in the last week. So if I wanted to open up all of my issues, so you can see up here the green icon says open issues. This is displaying all of my open issues only by default. If I wanted to see all issues, I would hover over the green icon and click all issues, and you'll see that all the issues now populate. This snapshot is much like the summary chart on your test rounds page. If we wanted to search for any open issues that are P1s, for example, we can then go and click this create snapshot, and it will pre-populate much like we have on our summary chart on the test rounds page. It will give you a snapshot of overall where each issue is, where it's associated to, who it's assigned to, what issues the categories are. And if I scroll down, it'll give you a summary of the severity, the impact, the vendor, the application, and then all of these pieces of the pie are clickable. So if we wanted to pick on Patty and go in and see which ones she is looking at, we can click on this piece of pie, and then we can see that she's got these 10 issues that are assigned to her that are still open that are P1, which is very rare that she's got this many issues open. And then if we wanted to review the filtered list, so if we wanted to go up and remove our filter, and we wanted to add in our filter again, and P1s, we can click this icon here in the top right-hand corner, which is the review filter icon. That will automatically take you in to your filtered list that you've already created and populate all of the issues to review on the right-hand side here. And again, it's the same. If we wanted to close it down so we have more real estate, we can. If we want to pop it back open, we click the open icon on the right-hand side here. So instead of going in and kind of highlighting all of them and right-clicking review, you can still do that. It will still take you to the screen. But let's say you had a bookmark up here that you wanted to you wanted to do assign to me. Instead of kind of highlighting them and right-clicking, I can just click this icon here and it will populate the two issues that I've got. Any questions so far?
Yeah, if I can just add on that page. So the one thing this gives you the ability to do that you didn't have before was look at all issues across a project in that kind of a pie chart view. So before you could look at your first integration test round and your second and all of your open functional issues from system testing, but you couldn't bring them together. And so now this lets you do it all in one view.
Yep. And then I'm going to show you how to import an images into your test script. So I have a script pre-populated with images, so you can see the images just here. For you to be able to add them into your script via Excel, you need to add this file underscore ID as your last column, and then put all your images in that column. So we're going to put this little demo script into TransIT. So if we go into our scripts and I select my script and I right click and I import from Excel, and then I want to go and choose my file. And I click import, you'll see that those images have populated into the action column for us, rather than you having to individually put those images into each of those steps. So again, if you wanted to do that, you need to add this file underscore ID as your header, column header, as the last column inside of your Excel spreadsheet. We go across to org settings and we go down to projects. We've now added a right-click import from Excel. So if you did want to go into adding more projects, rather than doing it individually, you can do it via your Excel import. And this is what Patty was talking about, the open to all issues. If you click on, I'm going to do this one. If I click on here, I can select users that are only allowed to view this project. So I won't move them across, but you can lock down a project, as Patty said, and create kind of a security structure for everybody. And the last thing that I'll show everybody is the new user settings. So clicking your user setting icon in the top right-hand corner, this will populate the list of user settings. So you have your standard sign out and change password. The issue columns displayed, you can check and uncheck your columns here. You can also go to your issue page and right click and use your display or hide and unhide your columns. So if I wanted to remove created, you can see here that it's remove created. When I go and click on my user setting, it automatically updates here. So when you are updating your hide and unhide on the issue dashboard page, it will automatically update in your user settings. This is really handy when you get logged out or we do a deployment inside of TransIT. These columns will remain for you, and it won't reset to your to our stock TransIT columns. If I scroll down further, you've got your notifications and your phone number. We've got here, and I'm just going to go to sorting over here. We've got here the ability to choose a sort for each of the pages inside of TransIT. And what's really cool about this is that if I drop down, I can choose whether I want the pre-sort to be category, name, number ascending, number descending, or updated. I like the updated. I have all mine set on updated. So when I go into the modules page, it will pre-populate the filter to be updated. And then that is true. That will stick for the users, even if you get logged out of TransIT and you log back in, or we do a deployment. The other handy pieces of information here are the restore all grid layouts. So if you do have any issues with your grid layouts, or you've done a bunch of changes and you can't remember how it was set up in TransIT, you can do restore all grid layouts, and that will restore all of the TransIT grids across all of TransIT for you to the stock standard. So I've thrown a lot of information at everybody. Does anyone have any questions or concerns or issues they wanted to go over before we call it a day? Fantastic. Well, happy 4th of July in a couple of weeks for all our American friends, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, Chuck.